In Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni has formed an advisory group comprising the public and private sector players. It will help the president identify areas or sectors of exports to significantly boost trade with the country's regional and international partners. The committee is tasked with reviewing policies and measures with a renewed approach on how Uganda can increase trade with its neighbors and with wealthy nations including the UK, the European Union, and the US. The move forms part of the government's plan to jumpstart the economy to create jobs and improve living standards. Odrek Rwabwogo is a senior presidential advisor on special duties. He is currently visiting states and cities in the U.S. as part of the effort to identify key areas to help with Uganda's renewed approach to exports. I caught up with Rwabwogo via Skype while he was in Washington, D.C. In part one of this interview, Rwabwogo talks about Uganda's new approach to trade.
When we opened the economy after 2 years of COVID pandemic, we just found out that we had regressed. For the first time in 30 years, we grew 1%. So we thought for economies that are less on manufacturing, cash is like oxygen. And cash as a country, you get it from exports. So we began to look at the lucrative markets that we always supplied, but casually. So we looked at EU, we looked at Britain and all the 50 Commonwealth countries that have history with Britain. We looked at the US, we looked at China. But the EU and the US, we speak one language. We have historical links. So we thought, how do you increase the oxygen in the room? By ensuring that you trade more in these countries you have had history with, but also, most importantly, you reach out. So we thought, let's form a committee that combines the private and public sector, and this committee advises the president on the sectors to focus on for exports, the policies that need to be changed, the standards that have to be created inside the country in order that our food and our products can be sold. And that's how I came to not just Washington. I've been in New York, I am in Chicago, talking to friends, talking to research companies, so that we can get some dipstick survey on what the country requires in order for it to sell here.
Typically, when African countries want to trade with the West, there are a standard of goods or commodities that usually the Western nations or wealthier nations do not want to compromise on. So looking at what you are doing right now, what do you think will be the take back to improve or to get to meet that standard in order to achieve your objective?
What I'm taking home is really that first, what you do internally determines what you achieve externally. So in our country, we're working on phytosanitary standards for all our food. We're working on export laws because you have to fulfill FDA requirements. We're working on technical and physical infrastructure in terms of aggregation of farmers' products at particular points where they are checked to an international standard before they are exported. One of the things I'm taking out of here is that you don't just walk into the market. It's a process. They have to look at your systems, they have to look at your producers, they have to abide by their particular rules for you to compete against Brazil and Colombia, which have a geographical and scale advantage. So we're taking lessons in that you have to go through people to get to these people. So there's good food, sourcing of good food, very good tourism potential, but very, very limited knowledge about the country. So it's a challenge that I'm thinking about. I spent 2 days with a group of researchers in an event called the Quacks. They happen, I think, 4 times a year in different parts of the world. And I just heard how much companies go through to be able to research the perception, the feelings, the market habits online of countries, of particular products, and I just felt overwhelmed. We are not in that space, and I'm taking back these lessons to see what we can do.
Now, Uganda, the last time I visited, saw its agricultural potential. Its pineapples, avocados, bananas, and the likes. Now, I know it can be a breadbasket not only for the East African region, but the Central African region as well. How do you plan to maximize this potential, not only in these African areas, but abroad as well?
I speak about the US market not because we don't have regional markets. I speak about this market because it's a high price market. It's a high standard market. Plus it teaches you to compete. I do not know any country, the Southeast Asian tigers, China, India, that is not in the US market. They go there not because they lack ASEAN market. They come here because here, you are competing at a global scale. Our regional markets are very good. If I give you the market of DRC, Congo, which is in our neighborhood to the west, one city called Kinshasa has about 18 to 20 million people. In the last couple of years, we've opened up cooperation under one market for Africa. And we're looking at the geographic advantage we have with our avocados, because avocados come from Germany, France into Congo. We're looking at these very sweet pineapples and bananas. We have these products because I think we have a mixture. We have like 5 different climates in Uganda. We have volcanic, we have temperate, we have savanna, we have tropical. We are able to give you a slice of each that you get, you don't get very easily in many countries. We're on the equator. So we're looking at the new rapprochement that we have had with Congo. For example, we are building roads up to 500 kilometers combined, new roads in cooperation with Congo. We have gone together into Eastern Congo to deal with insecurity that has been there since 1960. And we think these are the markets that really don't require very much in terms of standard, and they are near us.
Odrek Rwabwogo is a senior Ugandan presidential advisor on special duties. He spoke with me via Skype from here in Washington.